Hello all, welcome to this class on projection of solids, and in this class let's study this pentagonal prism problem. And the problem is a pentagonal prism 25 mm sides of base and 60 mm axis length rests on HP on one of its edges of the base, which is inclined to VP at 30 degrees. Full stop. Draw the projections of the prism when the axis is inclined to HP at 40 degrees. Okay, so in this problem, this is a prism problem. The shape is pentagon, and they're telling it's resting on one of its edges, so it's clear. So first let's try to draw the reference line. So the reference line, let's try to draw this. So after drawing the reference line, the next thing what we'll have to do is name it XY VPHP. So XY, see that the size is somewhere 5 will be very standard one. So VP HP, and also place it correctly. Also you can place it at the end also. Next one is draw a pentagonal prism. So this problem has to be solved in 3 stages, as it is inclined both to VP and HP. So in first stage it will be in a very normal positioning only. So first let's draw the top view. So to draw the top view, we can draw it using these applications, macros, run macros. Suppose if you find n-sided polygon here, then you can do it, else you can just leave it off. No, not in a worry. You can just directly go and first draw a line like this, and just leave your mouse. Just enter the length and the angles. So just enter 25 as it's the side length, tab 0, enter 25, tab 72, enter 25, tab 144, enter 25, tab 216, enter 25, tab 288, enter. So now we have got the complete problem. So but this problem, you can just see this is placed on one of its edges, so it has to be placed on its edges. But first let's try to convert that into a visible using visible line. So go to, just select it and make it visible. So now next thing what we'll have to do is we'll have to rotate that. That is very important because it is placed on one of its edges. That means on the rightmost side, that is using right side method, on the extreme right side it has to be an edge. Just select it and see that the copy is switched off. So just select, just rotate it on this edge itself. So just clicking one corner of the edge, and as the point to, as the center point, and the other point to rotate from. So now it is rotated. Now you can move it and place it little top. So let's try to pick from anywhere. So it's like this. So you can just see on the extreme right side it is edge. So now let's try to name the corners of this pentagonal prism. So let's try to name that. See that the caps lock is switched off. So this one, let's try to name it A, and the top face as well as the bottom face, as to that is a base, both have to be named. So the top face will be visible and the base is hidden, so let's name the base as A1. So if the top face is top face corner is named A, the base which is hidden is mentioned in the brackets as A1. Similarly this one B, and in the brackets B1. So similarly it will be CC1, DD1 and EE1 in the other 3 corners. So CC1, DD1 and EE1, DD1 and EE1, EE1. And after naming that, it is very important that we also find the center and try to name that also. First identify that center. So for that we'll have to draw a normal line. So you can try to zoom it. So let's try to zoom that. So let's try to draw a normal line. So from one of the edges, so from the midpoint of one of the edges, so if you click any one of the edge, as you move you will just get this symbol, this indication that, when you exactly place your cursor on one of the on the middle of one of the edge, you will get this indication. That means that is the center. So from there, join that line to an opposite corner. So do it for 2 edges. So you can just see from here, and let me try to draw it to this corner. So that means you get the center. So this is the center actually. So from here, let's try to draw a projection line from the center and draw it up to this reference line. So now let's try to draw projection lines up to this reference line. Let's try to do that. So okay, now this is the center one. So this is the center, I mean it's like the axis line. So it is clearly mentioned in the problem that the axis length is 60. So let's try to zoom it again. You can try to zoom it and be drawing it every time. So let's try to go to a center line. So from here, let's try to give the axis length as 60. Enter. Let it be 90 degrees. So now let's use the visible line and let's try to draw the remaining portion of this problem. So using this alignment indicator, you will get it correctly. So and let's try to draw a visible line here also here as well. So this that completes that. So that is almost the front face. So now we'll have to name those. The name the front face as well. So here, when the observer sees from here, wherever I place the cursor, this A will be visible while E will be hidden. Similarly, A1 will be visible while E1 will be hidden. So how will I draw it as A? That is as this is what to say. This is a bottom face. It will be A1 dash, and in the brackets E1 dash, as E1 dash will be hidden. Similarly, on the top it will be A dash. If it is A1 dash and E1 dash on the bottom face, it will be A dash and E dash on the top face. So similarly for this, so when the observer sees from here, actually this is the center point. So that one I should have named it. So let me try to name it now. So let me try to trim this other parts. So it avoids confusion. So let's try to trim these other lines, everything, and let's name the center point of this prism also. So it will be O01. So O for the top and O1 for the base. So as the base will be hidden, so it will be O1. So O01. So now when the observer sees from here, O will be in the front view it will be mentioned as O dash and O1 dash. O1 dash here. Okay. So next one is and one more thing is actually see O dash and O1 dash. Both O dash and O1 dash will actually be hidden. So that will have to be mentioned using brackets. So see that it's mentioned using a brackets. So let's try to mention that using a brackets because it's the axis, the middle point. So middle point usually will not be visible whether you see from the front view or wherever. So that one it will be. So when you see from the front view, it means it will be hidden. So O dash. So that is also mentioned within the brackets, and this will be O1 dash. O1 dash. Now let's mention for this. So B dash will be visible while D dash will be hidden. B dash and it's within the brackets D dash, and here it will similarly be B1 dash and D1 dash, and here it will be C dash, and at the bottom it will be C1 dash. So now using move command, let's try to place it correctly. See that the copy is switched off so that you will not create multiple copies. So select that and place it correctly. Place it in an appropriate position. It will look neater. So select all these points and place it correctly. So thus we have finished the first stage of the problem. Now let's proceed on to the second stage. In the second stage it's mentioned it is inclined to HP at 40 degrees. So just select this. So just select it and let's try to move that. So using move command you can select it first. See that here a copy is switched on. See, it has to be picked from this corner actually. From this corner let's try to pick, that is A1 dash and E1 dash. From that corner let me try to pick it and just place it here. So a copy is switched on. Now what I will have to do is I'll have to rotate that. So rotate it. So you can try to click this rotate command and then try to select that. See that a copy is switched off now. So from this this edge is what we'll be selecting. So we'll be this will be the center of rotation, and let's rotate. I mean, let this be the point to rotate from, this corner and this corner. Let A1 dash E1 dash be, let that be the, I mean, fixed point, and A dash and E dash be the point to rotate from. Let's give the position angle as whatever is mentioned in the question. So it's mentioned as 40 degrees. Give 40 degrees and enter. So now what we'll have to do is, you can, I mean, select it. I mean, using control key, you can select all these points and at a time delete it. So delete. If it doesn't delete, you can individually select it and try to delete. So now all those points have been deleted. So now what we'll have to do is, we'll have to start moving all these points. So let's try to move that. So let's go to this move command. See that a copy is switched on. So let's try to move it. So let's try to move from all these points. Individually you can select it and move it. So similarly the points in the from the base. So now thus the second stage front view is also done. So now let's try to draw projections. So let's try to draw these normal lines. So let me first, so before drawing you can even zoom it even further if you want, so that as you zoom it you can draw it even more accurately. So let's try to draw projections from here, from the top face, A, B, C, A dash, B dash. So from A dash to, so here A. So from A dash to A. So let's try to draw projections. Similarly from B dash to, so let me try to draw it here. So see that the alignment indicator is switched on, else if it's not switched on you can switch it on. And from C dash to, so here from C dash to here is drawn, and similarly from D dash already a vertical projector is drawn. See that it is drawn correctly. So if it is not drawn also, sometimes draw it correctly. So see that the projection lines are straight. So sometimes if this lines exceed, you can try to trim it. So from A dash, B dash, C dash we have drawn. So from D dash already, from B dash and D dash already there is a common line. So from D dash already a vertical projector has already been drawn. So let's try to draw a horizontal projector now. So this is a horizontal projector. So similarly from E dash also it is already drawn. So let's try to draw a horizontal projector. And from O dash, let's try to draw a vertical projector and join it at the horizontal projector. So now all the projections have been done. So now what we can do is we can do the naming. So see that the naming is done simultaneously, because just after you draw the projections, because only when the namings are fine you can do it correctly. So A dash, so A, so this one will be A, and B dash 2, so this will be B, and C dash to C, and D dash to D, and E dash to E, O dash to O. So let's try to zoom it and position it correctly. So now you can, I've zoomed it. So see that the copy is switched off. So see that the copy is switched on and off correctly. So let's try to position it correctly, so that you will not have any confusion while joining those lines. So you can check it out once. A dash to A, similarly B dash to B, yes, C dash to C is drawn, and D dash to D is also drawn correctly, and E dash to E and O. So all these are drawn. So now let's try to draw from the for the bottom face the projections. So A1 dash to A1. So A1 dash to A1. So let's try to draw the projections. A1 dash to A1. Similarly, B1 dash to B1. C1 dash to C1. Already horizontal projectors are drawn, so only the vertical projectors have to be drawn now. D1 dash to D1. Yes, that is also there. E1 dash to E1. So that is also there. And O1 dash. O1 dash to O1. So that is also there. So if it is not correct, let's try to draw it correctly. So let's try to, so it looks like it's wrong here. So let's try to draw that. So O1 dash to O1. So now let's try to zoom that and mention those points. So go to text, A1 dash to A1. So this is A1, and E1 dash to E1. So this is E1, A1 and E1, and O1 dash to O1. So this is O1, and B1 dash and D1 dash. So B1 dash to B1. So this is B1, while D1 dash. D1 dash to, so this one will be D1, and C1 dash to C1. So this is C1. So let's try to zoom it further. So now you can place it more clear. So you can even zoom it. The more you zoom, you can do it much better. So this is see that the copy is switched on. So this is E1, while this is O1, while this is A1, while this is B1. So you can zoom it and place it correctly. So you can do it much better always. Well, this is D1. Okay, so now we have named all the points. So now it is time to join them. So you can trim it later, but will have to join it. So we'll have to identify which one to be made visible, which one to be made hidden. That is very, very important. So now wherever I have placed the cursor, that is this top face. So that means whenever, see in the top view, this top face will be completely visible. That is A dash, B dash, C dash, D dash, E dash, and O dash. So this one will completely be visible. The equivalent one in the top view is A, B, C, D. So that one will completely be visible. So what has to be done is, so that A, B, C, D has to be joined using a visible line. So go to line, visible line, join those points using a visible line. A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, E to back to A. That one is completely joined using a visible line. The next thing what you'll have to do is in every solid problem, the boundaries. So boundaries are joined using a visible line. So D to D1, D1 to C1, C1 to B1, B1 to back to B1. That is a very, very common one. Next thing you can you will have to see the endmost point. You will have to see the endmost point in the second stage of the front view. You can just see in the second stage of the front view, A1 dash and E1 dash is the endmost point. The lines that is coming from A1 dash to E1 dash. So that is A1 dash to B1 dash, D1 dash, and similarly to A dash, E dash. So all those will be made hidden. So A1 dash to E1 dash. So A1 dash to E1 dash is nothing but A1 E1, and from there to B1 dash D1 dash. So that one will completely be made hidden. So this one A1 dash and E1 is nothing but A1 and E1 here in the here. So that one will first be joined using a hidden line. So go to hidden, let the thickness be made 0.5. So let's draw a straight line at this like this. Next, from similarly E1 dash to A1 dash to B1 dash and E1 dash to D1 dash. So that one will also be joined using a hidden line. Next, you can just see A1 dash to A dash, E1 dash to E dash. So that is also, I mean, as that is the endmost point, when the observer sees from here, he can't see that. So whatever the lines that is coming from that, that will also be made hidden. So E1 dash to E dash will first be joined using a hidden line. So what you can do is first trim that, because already there is a projection line, a normal projection line. So join that using a hidden line. Next, A1 dash to A. So trim that first and then join using a hidden line. So go to a hidden line. So just join it using a hidden line. So now next you will have to see which one to be made hidden, anything. You will have to see that. You can just see another thing here. C is the, easily visible point. So C to all these points. So that is joined using a visible line. So C to C1 dash. C dash to C1 dash, that will also be joined using a visible line. So C dash to C1 dash in the top view is nothing but C to C1. So C to C1 in top view has to be joined using a visible line. So go to visible line, join C to C1 using a visible line. Next, O to O1. So O to O1 is a center line, but already between O and O1 there is C. So that is joined already using a visible line. So from O to C can be joined using a center line. So you can ignore or else you can draw it. That is fine. So you can go to center line. So O to C can be joined using a center line. So that completes the second stage of the problem. So this is fine. So that completes the second stage of the problem. So let's now proceed on to the third stage. So let's go to the third stage of the problem. So third stage. So what are they telling in the third stage is you can just go to fit. So now they're telling the pentagonal prism, okay, rests on HP on one of its edges. Yes, on this edge is what it's resting of the base, which is inclined to VP at 30 degrees. So that is very, very important. So this edge is what is inclined to, you can just see in the first stage, this edge is what is resting on. So similarly in the second stage, if you see the same edge, so this edge is what is resting. You can just see on this resting point, the same thing, this edge is what is resting. So that edge will be inclined to VP at 30 degrees. So that is very, very important. So first draw a line using a normal line. So just draw a line and measure that 30 degrees first. So let's try to go to angle between. So let's try to measure that. So you can zoom that. So let's try to measure the angle between this. So that is, let's make it 30 degrees. So you can just see that is made 30 degrees. The immediate thing what you will have to do it is, so now this edge they are telling it is inclined on one of its edges. So on this edge only we made it to rest in the first stage. So similarly, if you look at in the second stage, you can just see this is a resting point in the front view. Similarly, in the top view, if you see this A1 and C1, that is the resting point. That edge has to what to say, overlap on this 30-degree line. So that is very, very important. So let's try to move from that any one of the corners of that edge. So either from E1 or either from E1. So let's try to first move it and place it here. Then let's try to rotate it. So I'll try to move it from E1 and first place it here. Then using rotate option, let me just fix this E1 point and try to rotate it from E1 and try to overlap on this. So first thing what you'll have to do it is you will have to select this. So while selecting, it is very important that the center lines also get selected. You can just see here not all the lines are selected, the center lines are ignored here. So what you can just see you can do it is go to split option and try to split these lines, especially the center lines. Center lines, as I told, are very, very important. So let's try to split that so that you will get the center. You can just click this line wherever from O to O1 as that projection line. First click it and we can try to split it somewhere. Let's try to split at this, the circumference of this pentagon, at this boundary of this pentagon. Okay. So apart from that, I really don't think there is any other point that we need. Only that center line is very, very important. So now let's try to select that completely, or else you can even select it using this control key. So now let's try to move it. So see that it's moved. See that a copy is switched on. So let me try to move from this point E1. So from E1, let me try to move it and place it exactly on this line. So now I've just placed it. Now still it is selected. See that go to rotate option. see that the copy is switched off. So let me try to click this E1 as a center of rotation, and let me try to rotate from E1. So now if I try to rotate like this, so you can just see it is going above the XY line. So to avoid that, let me try to select this completely. So see that no other points are getting selected here. Suppose if other points are selected, try to deselect that. So now what you can do, go to move, see that the copy is switched off. Let me try to move that a bit down. So still nothing, everything is still fine. You can just see this is 30 degrees only, it will not change. So now what you have to do is go to, select these individual points and first delete it, because we'll have to name those points again. So let me try to select all these points and delete that. So select those points and delete it. So now let's try to move those points. So using move command, see that a copy is created. So let me try to move from each and every point. So see that you try to move it, all those points. So A1 and similarly B1 and C1, D1, E1. You can even zoom it and move it also. That will also be fine. See that the center point. You are splitting it correctly and moving. Only then you can place the center correctly. So we have done it. So now we have just moved all those points. So next thing what you'll have to do it is draw the projections. So it's quite normal. So just let me try to draw projections from here. So A to A dash, A to A dash, and similarly B to okay. So suppose if projection or is no, if you're not getting any projection, you can draw a vertical and a horizontal projector separately. Then later on you can trim that. You can do that. That will be better sometimes. So from A and B we have drawn. Next from C. So from C to C dash, and similarly from D to D dash, and from E to E dash. So we have just drawn projections from all these points. O to O dash. So okay, so now we have just drawn all those projections. Now next thing what you'll have to do it is draw the mention those points. So A to A dash, so this one will be A dash. Similarly B to B dash, so this one will be B dash. C to C dash, this one will be C dash. D to D dash, this one will be D dash. E to E dash, this will be E dash. And O to O dash, so this will be O dash. So now go to zoom and position it correctly. So go to move, you can see that the copy is switched off. So you can position it correctly, you can place it correctly, a little more closer to that point. So now you can fit it. So now you can just see all these points are placed correctly. So A to A dash, B to B dash, C to C dash, D to D dash, E to E dash. So when it is placed correctly, it will be very easier for you to draw those points. So that is the reason. So next one is from, let me try to draw projections from here. So let me try to zoom that particular area. So whenever you're zooming, as I told, it will be very easier for you to draw it. So A1 dash. So A1 dash to A1. So A1 dash to A1. So the projection is here. A1 to A1 dash, I'm sorry, A1 to A1 dash. It is similarly from B1 to B1 dash. So B1 to B1 dash. So B1 to B1 dash is here. So suppose if you're not getting a straight line, sometimes you can draw it. You can draw 90 degrees and draw it. That will also be fine. So let me try to draw a horizontal projector here and then just try to zoom it. Then try to trim it. So let me try to trim that. So trim this as well as this. Next one is from, so we have drawn from A1 and B1. Let me try to draw from C1. So C1 to, so that if you're not getting a straight line, you can enter the angle as 90 degrees so that you will get a straight line. And similarly for a vertical line, you can enter 90, and for a horizontal line, 0. So for a vertical line, whenever you're drawing a line from bottom to top, enter 90. From top to bottom, you can enter minus 90. So, I mean, whenever if you're not getting a straight line. So now let's try to draw from D1 and similarly from E1 and from O1. So let this be the last projection line. So now we have finished that. So now let's try to name it. So from A1 dash, so we have drawn a projection line A1 dash to A1. So where is A1? A1 is here. So you can just see it's a bit confusing here. So A1 dash to A1. So you can, okay, let's try to draw it. Let me try to mention A1 later. So let me try to mention B1. So B1 is here. So this point is B1. So you can try to move it immediately, so that because there are many projection lines and it could be a bit confusing. So B1 and C1 to C1 dash. So C1 is here. Okay, I'm sorry, it is C1 dash, and similarly even here it has to be B1 dash, not just B1 dash. Suppose if you're not getting it, you can try to delete that and mention it again. So B1 to B1 dash, B1 dash, and D1 to D1 dash. So this one will be D1 dash, and E1 to E1 dash, and A1. So okay, let's try to zoom that so you will get it better. You will get a better idea which one is A1 dash here. So you can just see there is a horizontal projector that is drawn here. So the vertical projector is drawn. So next to E, you have this point. That point is nothing but A1 dash. So see that the points are not overlapping. So O1 to O1 dash. You can just see O1 to O1 dash. O1 dash is this. O1 dash is that. So now let's try to zoom it. So let me try to zoom that area and try to place those points correctly. So see that using move option you are placing it correctly. So C1 dash, D1 dash, this is O1 dash, this is E1 dash. So this is A1 dash, this is B1 dash. So you can confirm it once. So A1 2. So this A1 is a bit confusing one. So it's next to this. So this one has to be A1. So this line A1 and B1 dash is, you can just see it here clearly. So this is this line is B1 dash. So A1 to B1. Okay. C1, D1, E1 and O1. Okay. So now we have just drawn all those points. Now it is time to join that. That is very important. You can just zoom this particular area so that if you understand the problem, it is very easier. You can join it. Now when the observer sees from here, I'll just try to go down. So when the observer sees here, wherever I've placed the cursor, so when he sees from here, this particular phase will completely be visible. That is A1, B1, C1, D1, E1. That will be completely visible on the endmost point. So check for two things always. So next thing you can check for the endmost point. Endmost point is E. So the lines that is coming from E, E to D and E to A, that one will be made hidden. So E to D and E to A, and this A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, that will completely be made visible. So you can zoom this. You can even zoom it further so that you can draw it much more better. So let's try to join this A1, B1, A1 dash, B1 dash. So you can try to zoom only this bottom face point so that you can draw it even more better. So you can just, let's join this using visible lines. A1 dash to B1 dash, B1 dash to C1 dash, C1 dash to D1 dash, D1 dash to E1 dash, and E1 dash to back to E1 dash. So now let's try to draw the outermost points. And you can just see now, as I told, see this is the inmost point. E to D and E to A will actually be made hidden. So E to D and E to A. Another thing which you will have to see it is now whichever that is coming from this reference frame, the lines that is coming from this reference within this reference reference frame will actually be made hidden. Lines coming out of this reference frame will be made visible. Now let's try to draw the, what to say, this the outermost points. So outermost points, there is the boundaries. That one will actually be made hidden. So D1 dash to D dash. So D dash to C dash, C dash to B dash, B dash to E dash, E dash to A1 dash. So A1 dash is here. So that is joined using a visible line. Now, as I told you, this E to D and E to A, that one has to be drawn using a hidden line. So go to hidden line, see that the thickness is 0.5. E to D and E to A. E to A must be a hidden line. So E to A, join that using a hidden line. So E to A. Now next thing what you'll have to do it is, you can just see C1 dash to C dash. So that one is coming out of this reference frame. So as it is coming out of that reference frame, C1 dash to C dash will actually be made a visible line. B1 dash to B dash, that is also coming outside this reference frame. So join that using a visible line. Well, E1 dash to E dash, E1 dash to E dash is coming within this reference frame. So join that using a hidden line, E1 dash to E dash. So see that thickness is maintained at 0.5. Next one is, you can just see almost all is joined. The next one, main one, is this center line. So go to line, go to a center line. So O dash to O1 dash. So you can just see all these points are named. I think the problem gets over here. So finally you can mention your USN and name. So that completes the problem. I guess all the points have been joined. I think that completes the problem. Thank you. Bye.